The Holy Cross Mountains of Świętokrzyska province. Something to conjure with. These prehistoric outcroppings date back 500 million years and were once of Himalayan height. Today, the highest point within these hills, and indeed the highest point between southern Poland, the Tatra Mountains, etc., and the Urals, is still the Holy Cross Mountains, and specifically Bald Mountain or Święte Góry. Święte Góra is and was a sacred spot. Today the hill's summit is crowned with a basilica, which has stood for many centuries. But this is something to think about. A pagan wall, the remnants of a pagan wall, exists, crumbled and forgotten, like something out of a Shelley poem, symbolizing the peoples who once lived and worshipped here in pre-Christian times. There is something about this area. The oldest oak is here, the Bartek oak, 800 years old. This majestic tree is a stone's throw or a few kilometers drive, if you will, from Chęciny Castle. This strong point commanded traffic in the Kielce area for centuries. The bear went over the mountain to see what he could see, and we're going to do the same thing. Join us in the Holy Cross Mountains. I'm Will Richardson, and this is Poland Daily Travel, the show we do for you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Poland Daily Travel. We are here in the Holy Cross Mountains, south of Warsaw, north of Krakow, and close to Kielce, in the beautiful central part of Poland. These are amazing mountains. As I said in a previous episode, just to recap, that these are the highest hills. They're not really mountains, they're hills. But let's say these are the highest hills between here all the way to the Ural Mountains in Russia. If you think about that, it lets you know how important these hills were strategically. And behind me is an example of a medieval castle, which was built by Władysław I and finished by Casimir the Great. It dates from about 1300. And we know that it was important just around that time because it was a bulwark against the Teutonic Knights from the north. I said previously that this castle and others like it were built along the line through Jura, which is to the west of me, and the east towards Sandomierz. And these castles, and later bolstered by a series of palaces, were a line of defense that was created by Casimir the Great. Okay, so this is a prime example of a castle. And you know it was important because it kept being destroyed. It was destroyed over and over during its inception, its creation in the 1300s, up until its final destruction, or more or less, it hasn't been totally destroyed, but its use as a fortress during the Swedish invasion in the 1600s. So it had an effective period of, say, 350 years as a working castle. So let's see, the 1600s, so it means for almost 400 years, it's been a castle in disuse. But it remains, as we just look at it, and you see the fortifications, the wall, and you see the type of design. It remains a classic example of a medieval fortress. Now all that remains is to walk up there and have a closer look. And then let's have a look over the valley and down on the town from the same viewpoint. Okay, come with me. Welcome back. Look at this behind me, and soon you will see the view in front of me. You can imagine what a commanding point this was. They didn't have big cannons like this, even when the Swedes were invading Poland in the 1600s. This is a cannon, of course. It says it was made in 1914, which was just the year of the Great War. So this is not a period cannon that would have been in use at any time when this fortress was active as a Middle Ages or 1600s era fortress. But it still would have been a great vantage point to put some artillery. And so if you can imagine, even into the 20th century, artillery emplacements like this on this hill. And you can see for tens and tens and tens of kilometers up and down in all directions. North, south, of course this is east. North, south, and west. And to the west, a stunning view. Also to the south. You could almost feel that you could almost see Kraków from here, from this position. It is very impressive and is very beautiful on this October Friday, with the leaves changing in the valley below. Quite stunning. And remember again, this is one of the highest points between the south part of Poland, where you have the Tatra and the Bieszczady and the other mountains whose name I've forgotten just now. But there is this wall of mountains all across southern Poland. And this would be one of the highest points, all the way to the Ural Mountains, past Moscow. So indeed, a commanding area. Okay, I'll go and see if they'll let us in the castle.